So at one time, I was developing new type of rocket engine,
Okay.
a type of engine that was not done yet. Whether it was commercially interesting or relevant, I didn't care that moment. When I started in the beginning of the week with a block of aluminum, I noticed when I made those parts that this was not really the way to do it. If you look to our brains, there are billions of neurons, trillions of connections, and that allows us to do awesome things.
Of
And
course.
we are not fully there yet at all.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Zealous Talks, a podcast where you can get insights on all things technology. I am Kinjal, your host for the show. Today we are talking about something that feels like a scene from sci-fi movie. Yes, AI in 3D printing. 3D printing, we all know, building things from layer to layer, gadgets or even organs. But recently, AI is totally changing the game of this industry. AI is changing the game of many other industries, but particularly of 3D printing. And to give us insights on the same, we have an absolute rockstar of this field. Yeah, we have Jonas with us, who is CEO and co-founder at ValCUN, a startup company that is focused on providing metal 3D printing affordable to mass production. So yeah, Jonas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kinjal. Thanks for having me. So yeah, as you already introduced me, I'm the CEO of ValCUN, and I'm an engineer by heart who needs really technical challenges, and that will always be in me. And I try to be a generalist, meaning that I rather aim to know something about everything rather than being an expert in one single domain. And AI, for example, is one of it. And that allows me to talk to experts and understand them. And maybe I can give some background on ValCUN, on how we were established, because from my background perspective, um, I like to do things myself, and that's gives me a broader overview what's going on the market, and that's where I
Okay.
find out in the market of 3D printing that a lot of awesome stuff can be done,
Mm-hmm.
but there are still some key issues to be solved in order to bring, especially metal additive manufacturing, to the industry or the production industry. And these are the things we are actually really focusing on. So having it easy deployable, this is the main reason where we are focusing on with our technology that we are developing. So that's a brief introduction from my side, Kinjal.
Yeah, so it seems like you are a jack of all trades. You want to be a jack of you love to be a jack of all trades in your life. You said, yeah,
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
to do so many things rather than being an expert at one.
exactly. My life is too short and my brain is too small for these things I want to do. That's for sure.
Okay, okay. So talking about life and all this stuff, what made you like what sparked your interest to be in this field of 3D printing? Like, what was that one thing that said, yeah, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
want to be in this?
So yeah. As I mentioned, I need challenges, and usually
Yeah.
projects that I start with are projects where the average people stops doing, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where I start. So at one time, I was developing new type of rocket engine,
Okay.
a type of engine that was not done yet. Whether it was commercially interesting or relevant, I didn't care that moment. And there I made all
Hmm.
the components myself because I like to do stuff, right?
Hmm.
And when I started in the beginning of the week with a block of aluminum, and as you know, if you want to put something in the air, it needs to be lightweight.
Okay.
A rocket engine becomes very hot, so you need complex cooling channels.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed when I made those parts that this was not really the way to do it by the milling and turning those parts. And that's how I got in touch with 3D printing. But
Okay.
at that time, I'm talking about 2013, metal AM was mainly dominated with powder technologies using lasers
Mm-hmm.
and to me, it sounds very cumbersome, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I, I always ask myself the questions why things are done. and I couldn't find the answer why they needed those powders, those lasers. And that's how I started think about other methods to do that, to make it easier.
Okay.
Basically asking myself the question, why is nobody printing metals like they do with polymers at this time? And
Hmm.
yeah, couldn't find the answer, and that's how I founded ValCUN.
Okay, so your why cleared your how, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when we talk about a 3D printing and the emergence of AI in many industries right now, so can you give a bit overview, like how has AI evolved over years?
Yeah, so AI, first we have to bit agree on the definition. I'm not the expert again in AI, but
Yeah.
for me, AI it's like I call it, it's like a brain that eats electricity instead of meat and vegetables, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
it's basically a person in a computer. So it's kind of a black box where signals go in and signals go out without know what's happening in the box. So I don't really know when AI really started it, but for me, like general PID control is also a kind of AI, and it only boosted it during those years with the increase of calculation power and so on. Um, and yeah, that's how I see it evolve. I don't know if you know the law of Moore. So where like the number of transistors in an area is doubled every 2 years. So at some point we'll go to singularity point. That's where we are going. Okay, we're not
Oh,
there yet completely, but
okay.
that's how I see how AI is evolving as well. Um, so does that answer a bit your question?
Okay, so you said that are not at that point of singularity, but what do you
No,
think?
no,
Yeah, so
absolutely not there yet.
but
That's
can
what
you
I know.
anticipate like in how many years we are going to be at that point? What do you think?
Right. I have the feeling we are making a lot of evolution, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there is still a lot of things to explore because in the end, if you look to nature, for example, that's has had billions of years of development.
Hmm.
And like if you look to our brains, there are billions of neurons, trillions of connections, and that allows us to do awesome things,
Yeah, right.
like having this podcast, for example.
Of
And
course.
we are not fully there yet at all. So we have still a long way to go. So there's still room for us human beings to develop stuff.
Still 100 more years to go, I guess. 100 years
Sorry?
more. Still 100 years more to go.
Oh, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Okay, so why is AI impacting so many industries right now? Like why every other industry is feeling a FOMO that we have to adapt AI, otherwise we are out of the track now.
Yeah, well, so with this whole evolution of digitization and technology, a lot of aspects like safety, customizability, predictive maintenance, and so on, these things become very important, and they should not be depending on human errors. And
Okay.
that's why I see that AI can provide a lot of value.
Mm.
Also, the competitivity, things need to be much cheaper. So you want to have an efficient process with as little human errors and involvement in there. Then that creates a lot of, yeah. So now they do these things with sensors and certain algorithms. It creates a lot of data. And at some point, yeah, the data, you have to manage that. And AI, to us, to me, is a good tool to deal with that.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So, how is AI used in creating physical organs in 3D printing in 3D printing industry?
Yeah, so first of all, 3D printing is well known for its design of freedom, so you can create a lot of crazy stuff.
Okay.
Although, and that's maybe some people think that it can create everything and you can produce everything. There's always a limitation on that.
Hmm.
It's important. And especially if you want to post-process stuff, you create extra boundary conditions. So it's it's apart from the complexity you can create, there's also complexity of boundary conditions you create. So that all has to be managed, and that's again where AI can actually provide value on that. And in a lot of CAD programs, there is already a toolbox installed where you can generatively design your parts. So that basically with providing several binary conditions, and then with one click, it is generating or iterating with AI format that can be made in the end
So
for your
yeah,
purpose.
so as far I understand it, it is basically making things faster for in 3D printing. Like in one click, you get things.
Faster, faster and efficient. I
Okay.
mean, optimized for your goals. Indeed.
So what are the other benefits of using AI in this?
And I see four different domains where AI is being used in 3D printing, and that's going through the whole cycle of production of a part. It starts with the design. So again, we talked about it, the generative design. Then from that design, you have to move to your printing process. So you have to predict parameters. So in the prediction of your process parameters, that's important. Then during the process, the prediction is never the same as reality. So you have to
Hmm.
make some adaptations based on what you see happening. So for in our monitoring closed loop control, AI provides a lot of value. And afterwards, you have the quality control to see the part that's being printed, either based on what you saw during the process, but also, at the end, checking whether it fulfills all the needs. If there are like defects, not all defects are very critical for the end application. So AI can make there the decision what to do.
Okay. That's quite beneficial of AI in 3D printing. And I've also read that it helps in spotting mistakes midway in printing. So how it is actually doing it? Like in real time, how is
Uh,
quality controlled?
how it's controlled. So basically for AI, again, for the black box, you need input parameters, which are the sensors. You have to make sure, of course, that you know which sensors are relevant for your process to monitor and what are the criteria that you want to monitor. And that really depends on the applications usually.
Okay.
So, and again, AI is based on what it is taught,
Right.
what the learning is. So based on that, it will make a decision or a proposal.
So you said that AI is based on what it is taught, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like, and all the models are as good as the data it gets because shit in and shit out. I think we all know that. So the data is extremely important. It needs to be not only the relevant data, but also consistent and reliable data.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. So what is the adoption rate, right? Like how, what do you think the market is adopting AI? Very frequently, they are aggressively adapting it, or they are quite slow right now in 3D printing.
Um, it's the rate is high, but as you know, if you start from zero, then any rate is high, right? So
Yeah.
we started from but also one of the reasons it's going high is because it's really needed as well. Because especially in the metal AM technologies, those processes are very sensitive,
Hmm.
even machine dependent, even day dependent, and that's not what you want if you want to produce consistent parts. So the AI, especially in the inline monitoring and closed loop control, can actually compensate that based on all the I don't know, environmental measurements. It can adapt slightly the processes in order to make these processes less dependent on the machines. So there is a real motivation for that. And another thing is that 3D printing is a digital process, so it
Okay.
creates a lot of data,
Hmm.
and that's why it's very, yeah, suitable, I would say, for AI, because humans cannot handle all that information.
So in the so industries are aggressive. 3D printing industry particularly is aggressively adopting it.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Okay. And when we talk about using AI in industrial 3D printing, so I guess there must be many challenges to coming in the way. So can you state few of them? Like what are the actual
yeah,
challenges, hurdles? Yeah.
yeah. So I would say the main challenge is the data. Again, because
Again,
data determines thing. And there you have the three things. It's not only the, so first of all, the quantity of the data. You need a
hmm.
lot of training, so to say, and the consistency of the data, the reliability, and then what do you do with the data? Because in the end, the sensor is just a value, but how do you process that in order to feed it to the AI system? And I think these
Okay.
are, to me, the main challenges that we still need to explore and that need to be, yeah, dealt with.
I feel that rather than AI being the main person of automation here, AI is just a middleman here, and the main hero is the data here. I feel like that right now. As
Yeah,
hi, so everything is dependent on data, the type of data, the quality of data, the quantity of data.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So data
Data,
is the
data,
hero.
data. Yeah, exactly. Indeed.
Okay, so how is AI used in predictive maintenance, like the actual use case of AI in predictive maintenance, like how it is actually boosting the efficiency in 3D printing?
Yeah, so predictive maintenance, you how to say,
So
there are two
yeah,
things. Yeah,
I've seen there are
just
many use
going.
cases of AI in 3D printing, and predictive maintenance is one of them. So I guess it is like spotting issues in real time. It is one of them, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a predictive maintenance in the printers itself. Um,
Okay.
and then I would refer to the printed applications. So in the printers themselves, yeah, like I said before, it's a very sensitive process, especially for the metal printing. So, for example, in the powder bed fusion technologies, where they have powders and the lasers, yeah, those laser spots are very tiny. So they use optical systems and mirrors, and for once they start to deteriorate, yeah, the quality of the print will not be good. So based on the laser spots, it could actually feed back with the AI system, what is
Okay.
the current status of the technology of the printer itself in order to ask for maintenance. And for the printed applications, it's mainly the digital passport. So if you make your part and you have all the process parameters from the printing process, you will be able to see where the mistakes or the defects are in the parts. And when it's done, you can detect, look, this might be a problem for the future. And then the AI system can actually, when it's in operation and when you use the right sensoring, it can actually detect whether that defect is growing and when it could be critical for the end part, basically.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
where AI fits in the applications.
That was very insightful, Jonas. So, if we shift to the topic right now and talk about AI's impact on supply chain, so what's the take on that? What is the impact like?
Yeah, so another interesting thing about 3D printing is that we can manufacture on demand, can manufacture in the fields. That's especially important for long lead components and critical components and applications. And today, that problem is solved with big warehouses and a lot of spare parts. And this is manageable for onshore, But if you go offshore, for example, on ships, their space is also a problem. So we want to reduce the amount of spare parts and warehouse space.
Hmm.
And that's where AI can pop in together with 3D printing in order to do the whole supply chain management, maintain the prediction on how to or when to make a new part and what's the best way to do that. So again, with predictive maintenance, where AI will play a role, from there on, we can get a signal towards the stock. We need the new part within so many months. How can it be done? And AI can again deal with the most optimal supply chain proposal.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That's great. And since you are a CEO and co-founder of ValCUN, that's a startup based on 3D printing itself. So you must be having something, some to-do list or something like that for businesses on best practices to apply AI for their work operations. So what could be
yeah,
there?
yeah. So for integrating its AI in our process, yeah, always we have to start with fast iterations and monitoring where we can actually add AI. And this is a bit of a learning process, and applies also for all the other industries. So yeah, does that answer your question more or
Uh,
less?
okay. Can you brief it a little?
Right?
Can you brief it? Like, if I want to start, if I have a business of 3D printing and I want to adopt AI, so what are the five things that I have to take care of? What do you think? If I generally ask you.
So first, you have to define all the critical steps in your process or products or business
Yeah, of
and see
course.
where AI could be the most of the value. And then
Hmm.
you go for it. What is the easiest way to check whether it makes sense, whether it creates added value for you? Because yeah, in the end, you have to put a lot of effort in creating the right data. So
Right.
if it doesn't make sense, so from there on, you start, and that's what we do as well, with a couple of simple cases to get feedback as soon as possible, and from there on you move on to more complex situations.
Okay. That's quite insightful. And what do you think of the future, Jonas? Like, what's the 3D printing industry and AI collaboration looks like in future?
um, we see it the happening in the four topics that I described earlier. So we are starting from the design, going to the prediction of the process parameters, the inline monitoring, and the quality control. Now it's usually separated. I mean, they're not really crosstalk, so to say. And how I see it evolving is that all those four different topics become more integrated to each other. That
Okay.
also the providers of the CAD designs are more talking to the machine builders so that it's a more streamlined one big AI model, so to say, rather than the separation as it is today.
Okay. And when we talk about ValCUN's role in this industry and their vision, so what you will be the best person to talk about it. So yeah, brief us.
Yeah. We will be the leads in shaping all that. I can tell you
Okay,
now.
the
No, as
disruptors.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in metal EM, to be used for the general industry, that's still lacking. And again, that's the whole reason why we exist. We don't want metal EM to be just prototyping and a niche applications. But for that, yeah, things need to be deployable. So meaning you click one button and everything happens. That's basically where we want to go, right?
Okay,
In terms of
completely
automation.
automate.
And sorry?
It completely automating the process.
Yeah, to make it as easy as possible for the customer, because that's part of deployability, apart from the cost issue.
Of course.
And that's where we see that AI will help us a lot, and that's why we are also using it today already. So
Okay, and now I have just seen that an exhibition is going to happen, that is Form Next. So, and for those who are planning to attend it, what can they expect to see in terms of AI in printing advancements over there?
yeah, so um, from the last years, we have seen already some adoption for AI, especially in the cut design. The inline monitoring on the side of the machine builder, it's still limited. And I expect, and in some way I hope, that we will see this year even more in the machine at the machine builder side, so that they use a lot of inline monitoring to do closed loop control. I know they are working on it, as we are, but it's still early stage, so to say. And I expect to see a lot of improvement there.
Okay, and as what about for the visitors for on the Balcons booth? Like what highlights they should miss at there over there?
So that were good.
Yeah.
Um, yes, we will show what ValCUN is, for sure.
Okay.
So, meaning we will show that currently there's a lack of deployability and that we are on the way to solve that problem. And that's the main focus of the booth this year. And we will do some live printing and show business cases where we actually show that we can make that difference with business cases that before were not thinkable of, that it would make sense to 3D print. But again, showing that on the whole cycle of part production, that we target the right costs and make it happen for both their customer and our customer. So, and we also have an interactive booth, which is also important on a fair, that it's not boring, with
Yeah.
some special Belgian specialities to win. So I don't want to spoil too much, but there is some Belgian beer involved, so to say.
Oh, that's quite a spoiler for all of us, and it's very exciting. Okay, and if I ask you any ending note or advice for newbies who are trying to get into this industry, what would it be as a leader and co-founder?
Um, the developing something new, especially in hardware technology, is very hard. It requires a lot of um, uh, dedication from the entrepreneur and convincing from the industry, because yeah, industry is they don't like to change. So you have to really prove what is the big difference that you provide and the value that you provide, and it should be significant. It should not be a gradual improvement. It should be disruptive, and we have that. We are confident in that. So we are on the right track.
Okay.
So that's my advice.
All right. I guess that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you, Jonas, for sharing such amazing insights on AI in 3D printing. We really appreciate you being here. Thanks to everyone who tuned in today. Do not forget to follow Zealous Talks for more great episodes on tech and innovations. Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating. This is Kinjal signing off.